Hey YouTube, welcome back to another Black Flag Ordnance video. Today, we're gonna be going over the P365 and seeing how well it is as a carry gun and overall just a firearm itself. So let's get into it. So right here, we do have the X Macro. Honestly, these things for me, when they first came out, I did not like the way that they looked. Now, this is the X Macro. It did come out in 2022, I believe. The original P365 came out in 2018. So this is one of the more newer iterations of the 365. For me, when it came to the original 365, it looked wonky. You know, it had a really short grip to it. And I apologize, by the way, I am coming over a cold, so just bear with me a little bit. And it is a nice warm 20 degrees outside, so we're fighting a lot here. But when it comes to the 365, the first ones, in my opinion, were just overall small. I couldn't really get my hand on the grip. I thought they looked a little wonky. But then that all changed in 2022, and they came out with the X Macro. And the first time I held this thing, man, it felt so good in the hand. And this one holds 17 rounds, which is just mind-blowing to me. For a tiny gun like this, it can hold 17 rounds. And to me, that's just insane. I never would have thought a gun this small, this thin, and this light can hold 17 rounds. So before we actually go shooting with it, I do want to go over a couple of the differences and overall just size comparisons to the other firearms. For me, this fits in my hand darn near perfect. This configuration, I do have the Foxtrot 2 light. This was a part of what it was called a tac pack.
Wow.
So the tac pack from Sig comes with the flashlight. It also comes with 3 magazines, 17 round magazines. And overall, just look at this thing. Overall, this thing, in my opinion, looks great. I mean, even just with the Holosun on there, I absolutely love it. It is optics ready. The footprint is the RMSC shield. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it is the shield footprint. So no RMR, nothing like that. I'm sure you can get optics adapters like the plates to be able to accept an RMR or like a Delta Point Pro type configuration here, but for all intents and purposes, I did go with the Holosun, and this is the shield footprint. The one thing that did blow my mind is, you know, being that I do carry, the one thing that I used to carry was the 220 Elite. This thing, I love this gun. Now it is a 45, so it is apples to oranges and calibers and how everything's working, right? But the one thing I liked about the 220 was that it was thin. So if we look at the 220, overall size comparison of just the actual thinness, you know, compared to a thick double stack 9mm, anything like that, this thing is really, really thin. And, you know, for me in my hand, you know, just overall carrying, I really liked how thin this was, but it was a heavy gun. I mean, it's a full steel, you know, 45, you know, so it is definitely heavy to carry on your waist. It's, you know, at 45, I only get 8 rounds out of this thing. So in a scenario, if I would ever have to use it, or, you know, overall just magazine capacity, I have 8 rounds plus 1 in the chamber. So it was good. I loved carrying this gun, but when the X Macro came out and I now cut down half the weight, and for 17 rounds, look how thin that is. That's darn near just as close as the 220, and I'll hold both up. So it's almost thinner than the 220 and holds 17 rounds. That's amazing. I never would have thought that out of a 9mm compact handgun. So from here, I do want to shoot it a little bit. I haven't shot a lot with it. So this is going to be a little bit of a learning curve for me too, getting used to the firearm and everything like that. But I just kind of want to put it through its paces a little bit. Like I said, it is freezing outside, so I'm definitely looking to warm my hands up. So let's go ahead and get into it. I'm going to go for this main target. If you look over here, the steel, it's going to be the big kind of man-sized target. I will try to work my way a little bit, but being that this is like my second time firing this handgun, it's going to be a little rough. So Let's go ahead and get started. And these are the magazine sizes. They are kind of similar to the 320 in the way that they feel, they look. They're not that much smaller, so I'm actually really surprised that they were able to fit 17 rounds out of this little tiny handgun. So from here, I'm going to just aim down target. Nothing really special, no drills yet, but just kind of get a feel for the handgun and kind of explain how I feel. The one cool thing about these is that it does have a very aggressive stippling to the actual hand grip. But not only that, but the back straps. They come with like 3 different back straps, and this whole thing just slides off. There's one little pin that keeps it in, and you can change kind of how it feels here. So you can go for a little thinner, thicker, and even more of like a curve. So it is pretty cool to see how you can kind of customize these straight from the factory, how you can fit it to your hand, and overall just the comfortability of it. I guess they call it 365 for a reason, because you can carry it 365 days a year. So yeah, let's just shoot some lead down range and see how I go with it. So like I said, middle target, nothing crazy. Try out this Holosun. First reaction, man, that thing's snappy. It's controllable though. It doesn't feel like it doesn't feel like you can't control it. I mean, it's very predictable. I mean, it just overall, I don't have any complaints with the way that it feels recoil wise. You have some of those that are really snappy, or just overall feel kind of clunky. I know that with my personal M17, it's a full size. It feels a little clunky. Could be just because it needs to be broken in more, but overall, this is a very snappy, very predictable system, whatever they have in the recoil system here, whether it's a recoil spring or whatever, but it feels very nice. It's not too aggressive and it's not too clunky. I'm gonna just kind of shoot around, plink a little bit. We'll try to go for the little smaller targets here and there. I will say that our middle target here is missing a couple of the hinges, so I won't be able to go for any cool shots and hit all the hinges. But sure, why not? We'll shoot a couple more. Yeah, that that's crazy. Yeah, so predictable. I can see why carrying this thing is it's pretty popular. I think this was like the most sold handgun in the United States last year. I could be wrong, don't quote me. I'll fact check that when I go to edit the video.
Nice.
But it was a very popular handgun. I mean, and the fact that they introduced the X macro. Now you can get this in a compensator version too, so there is a little bit of a comp. But this one does not have it, but I can imagine that just pretty much eliminates a little bit of the recoil, you know, more than what it already is, make it a little bit snappier. So there we go. So for anybody that's wondering as well, I am using a Holosun 407K. Now, the one thing that I was really afraid of was I wanted to make sure something did fit. Of course, I already went over that this is the Shield platform, but I do know that no matter what, anything that you buy off the internet, you kind of have to do your research, especially when it comes to optics, anything like that. But I was pleased to find out that the Holosun 407K direct fit. You didn't have to do anything to it. Just take the little optics plate off and you're fine, which is absolutely amazing. Because you get into some of those, you buy, you know, $200-300 red dot, and all of a sudden, oh, it does not fit, and you're kind of SOL. So I was really pleased that the 407, it was easy to bolt on. The one thing that I did look for when it came to a red dot, I don't like it when red dots have the battery on the bottom. For me, especially being a carry gun, I felt as if Okay, well, I need to change the battery. Well, now I got to re-zero the red dot, which is, for me, I felt was impractical. I felt that overall that was not something that would be a good thing to really have in a carry gun, let alone you want to change your batteries kind of frequently. I know they claim like some odd 1,000 hours, but for me personally, I want my red dot to work every time. So for me to have this little access panel, which is I'll show you, this right here, that's it. That's the access panel. So I just undo that little screw right there, and the battery just comes right out. So that for me was the big selling point. Another thing was I was really impressed too. Now, look, I'm not big into the whole red dot game. I like red dots. I just don't have a lot of them. So when it comes to the way that Holosun presented itself to me, at least, and the box, everything seemed really professional. It didn't come in like a little cheap Chinese box, you know. It was all packed in there. It came with its own little tool to adjust everything, to sight it in, which was amazing. Even to take that little battery tray off. I mean, it's just one little key. It's great. So with that being said, too, the ease of just sighting this thing in, right? So I ended up just kind of doing like a basic zero as far as windage. So I, co-witnessed my iron sights and just moved the dot. Reading the Holosun paper, I was very pleased when it turns out that they zero the red dots in at 25 yards from the factory. Hey, that's awesome. So I wanted to test that theory, and I did go down and sighted it in for 25 yards. And lo and behold, after I just moved my windage from the iron sights, that thing was spot on. I mean, I get we're maybe, I don't know, we're about 25-ish, maybe, yards, give or take. I don't have any landmarks, and I don't have any, rulers to really be able to confirm that. But we're about the distance of 20-ish, I would say, and it was spot on. So kudos to Holosun for that. We're not sponsored by Holosun, but they make some good red dots as far as me having experience with that. So from there, I've already carried this gun for a few days, and my experience with it was amazing. How do I really put it? Like, I forgot it was there, if I'm being honest. The weight of it, everything, it just felt so good. It compared to my 220, where that thing weighs like 20 pounds compared to this thing. It felt so natural in a way of the weight of it is like perfect. I blew my mind. And once again, the magazine capacity, I cannot get over that. 17 rounds in that little small thing, and it's just ready to go. So I'm going to try some transitions for targets here, shoot a little bit more, kind of get more used to the handgun as we sit. So what I'm thinking is I have 3 paper targets set up here. I'm going to stand in front, center of the center target, and I'm going to try a couple transitions, maybe 2 on each target, left to right, and then I'll do right to left. Each time going through, I will kind of assess where I'm shooting and really get a feel for this handgun. So, you ready? All right. So I have another 17 rounds set up here. And my middle target's looking like he's a little off to the right, but that's okay. We'll just kind of shoot it anyways because the wind's going to take it eventually. So, all right, let's try it out here. All right, I can tell you right now, the first target, I did not do well. The second target, I didn't do well. But the third target, I got pretty on point. Still kind of messing with that red dot, getting used to target acquisition. I definitely need to work on that myself. I'm used to suppressor height sights. My 220 does have a little bit of higher sights on them, but overall, just kind of picking up that red dot. It is a little different than normal iron sights. But let's go down to the target and see what it did. All right, so Starting from the left target, I did struggle a little bit. I know I pulled to the left. I know I say that I predict the way that I'm going to shoot, but like I said, it is kind of hard getting that red dot compared to a iron sights, and I've been using iron sights my whole life. So it is a little different getting used to. I did shoot to the left. I mean, it's, I don't know, a couple inches, which is, I'm not happy with it, but the more that I practice, I'm sure I'll get better. Going to the middle target here, let's see. Yeah, that was way off. I had one up here and one down there, so that I didn't like too much. But then I come over here, I ended up getting those two almost touching. Like I said, I think the more that I work with it, the better I'll get. I mean, I know some of these guys out there, YouTube-wise, they're shooting $1,000 sights, and I'm just now getting into the red dot game. So this is my first carry gun that I've had with a red dot. So, like I said, I just need more practice, man. I mean, I'll try it again, see what I get, and this time I'll go from right to left and really see what my grouping can be. I'm hoping that I can really pick up and adjust more to be able to get that grouping I had on that third target. The only other test that I did do was when I sighted in the gun, I did the air marshal shooting test. And if you haven't seen that, I want to do a video on it. It's just more time extensive. I have to figure out when I'll be able to do it. But that is a really good drill to really learn. You go over a lot of the basics and a little bit more of just time efficiency. You're timed, and it's a pretty quick time. I mean, if you're not on it, you're not making it. And it goes over reloading, you know, drawing from the holster, things like that. So the next chance I get, I really do want to do that. I mean, being that it's 20 degrees out, you know, it's already cold, we're shooting, but I'd like that to be a little bit more of like a springtime or summertime kind of drill, so I can really spend some time on it. But from there, let's go ahead and I'll try this going from the other way and see how I do. I'm not looking for any kind of particular like drill per se, more or less just trying to find the target acquisition with the red dot and just kind of practice with it. I figured, you know, you guys could follow along my journey on my red dot experience. So without further ado, I'll try from the right to left and see how I really shoot. Hopefully I can get more groups like that last one. So another thing that I noticed was I feel like I have to aim a little high. I might have to bring that down and retest that. When I shot at 25, I was fine, but it's either that or, man, it's maybe the way that I'm holding it, the way that I'm doing my target acquisition. I just feel like I'm off. I know that I'm off. I feel it. I just don't know how to really correct that just yet. As far as with my own personal hands and my eyes, I feel like I'm maybe dancing around the target a little bit, but let's go check it out. Same grouping, pretty much. I just aimed, I guess, a little high. But overall, I mean, that's still a tight group here and here. I swear that's gonna be my favorite target by the end of this, I'm not gonna lie. So with this one, same thing. I did get a little bit of a tighter group. So I'm thinking maybe it's just the way that I'm aiming that I need to adjust. But I mean, bam, bam. I actually rewatched the video. I don't know if I hit that one and that one, or if I hit that one and that one. So I'll go ahead and rewatch that.
It's the two top ones.
It was the two top ones? Okay. All right, so this one, I spread it a little bit more than the other two, but overall, it is getting a little bit better for me. I think, once again, I just got to practice more. But I will say that even though it's not the tightest group out there, being that we are at 25-ish yards, you know, it's still going to be effective if I need it to be, being that it is my carry. I just need to work with it, man. That's it. I just got to work with it. Other than that, The interesting part about the 365 is the fire control group. And this is cool, right? So everyone's known, but if you don't, I'll explain it. The 365 and the 320, both made by Sig Sauer, and a lot of other companies are doing it now, but you have a fire control group unit, and so usually in most handguns or rifles, it's stuck with the gun. So it's serialized, it's ready to go. With the 365 and the 320, you can actually take the trigger out, which is the serialized part, and you can pretty much build these things like Legos. So you can put different grips on it, different slides. It doesn't matter because all that's serialized is the trigger. And I'll go ahead and show you that now. All right, so as you see right here, see how there's like an indent there?
Yep.
I believe that is the serial number for the trigger. So if we take this thing apart, which is easy, by the way, no special tricks, you just flip that lever and bam, it's off. And if you see right there, that is a part of the fire control group unit. And this thing, now I'm not gonna do it here because we're at the range, and this thing can go in anywhere you want in a 365 platform. So that trigger can come out. If you want a bigger grip, smaller grip, different color grip, it's all Legos. You just take that out, put the new one in, and you're good to go. Same with the slide, obviously. You know, make sure everything's compatible, do your research like I had to, but you know, it's as simple as, you know, putting it on and mix and matching it just like Legos. I mean, you can't really go wrong with that in a sense of this thing. It can be adjusted to anything you want. It can fit anything you want, and you can pretty much make it any way you want as long as it's 365, right? So, you know, the one thing that I was really appreciative of is just the overall build quality. You get a really good stippling here. It feels great in the hand. I mean, it's not as aggressive as like a skateboard grip tape, but it's pretty on point with it. Just maybe plastic and, you know, that kind of fun stuff, right? But I mean, the fact that you can change out the back straps now, I know Glock's been doing that for a while. A lot of manufacturers have been doing that for a while, but this thing has absolutely blown my mind when it comes to carry and how I carry. You know, with the 220, like I said, it's heavy, it's bulky, and at first I thought this was thin. I thought this was light. I was like, man, this is great. I like this. This was my favorite carry for, man, a better part of like 2 years. And I really trusted this thing. I love this thing. And I think I'm gonna have to shelve it. I think that this is going to be the new end all be all for my carry unless something wild and crazy comes out. And at that point, I'll give it a shot if I can, right? So, I mean, let me know your thoughts, your comments. Let me know what you guys think of the 365. And, you know, tell me if you guys have any good stories, bad stories. You know, everyone's gonna have a story. I would love to hear it all because my experience with this has been great. Like I said, I'm not sponsored by anybody. I'm just a regular dude doing some regular YouTube videos. But, you know, I thank you guys for watching, and I'm definitely gonna have to practice with them more. I mean, definitely gonna have to practice with this more. But I'm hoping to do more drills and shoot more in the future, especially for filming. So if you would, leave a like, comment, subscribe. I would really appreciate it. And the more you guys support, the more I'll be able to come out here and shoot. I know we didn't shoot too much, but I wanted to at least spotlight the 365 and how well, and like it just blew my mind, right? If there are any drills or any kind of shooting exercises that you want to see, let me know and I will try to implement them the best that I can with what I have. So other than that, so thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Later.